as one window for tourists who gathered in Thailand, despite all the restrictions launched in the country. This is the Entry Thailand website at www.enterthailand.go.th, which is designed to facilitate the admission process to Thailand for international travelers. It is about helping tourists organize a trip to Thailand, including booking an alternative government quarantine hotel. The website, created by the Tourism Authority of Thailand, outlines 6 steps for foreign tourists planning a trip to Thailand, including registering for an entry certificate, booking a flight, organizing quarantine, purchasing the necessary COVID-19 insurance, checking the status of the certificate of entry and entry requirements to the country. Recall that the quarantine period for vaccinated travelers is 7 days, and the tourist must be fully vaccinated with a vaccine approved and registered with the Thai Ministry of Health or approved by the World Health Organization at least 14 days before the travel date. And non-vaccinated tourists should be quarantined for 10 days. Local media outlets have listed the following steps for entering Thailand, presented on the website. Step 1. Register for a certificate of entry. Approval can take up to 3 days. Step 2. Book a repatriation or semi-commercial flight. Tickets must be purchased no later than 15 days after prior approval. Step 3. Arrange your stay at an alternative government quarantine, ask, hotel and send your booking confirmation no later than 15 days after prior approval. Step 4. Purchase a COVID-19 health insurance policy no later than 15 days after pre-approval. Send proof of purchase. If an insurance policy is issued through this website, the system will automatically inform you about the status of the booking. Step 5. Check the status of the entry permit and prepare additional documents before traveling. Step 6. Prepare the documents required when entering Thailand. Download the Thailand Plus app and complete the Thailand Health Declaration. The Henley Passport Index, which was formed in 2006 as an index of visa restrictions, since 2018 has been a ranking of countries according to the degree of freedom of movement of tourists. The classifier includes 199 passports of the world and 227 directions where their owners can get without a visa. The number of countries that a particular passport can travel to becomes its visa-free account. Since 2019, the index has been updated every 4 months. The Henley Passport Index, which shows which countries' passports are most convenient for travel, has published a list for 2021, and Japan again took the first place. This year the classifier is more theoretical in nature because the COVID restrictions introduced in the countries of the world do not allow one to be fully guided by it. However, according to new data, a Japanese passport allows tourists to enter 193 countries without a visa or with a visa upon arrival, while the Afghan passport, which is at the very bottom of the ranking, only in 26 countries. For 15 years of the existence of the classifier, the difference between the first and the last line of the rating in 167 countries this year is an absolute record. Singapore is still in second place, lagging behind Japan by only 1 direction. Germany and South Korea are in third place. They have 191 destinations. The top 10 includes mainly European countries, with the exception of the United States and New Zealand. They took 7th place, and the US passport in the previous ratings was located on the lines higher. The United Kingdom also lost ground. The 9th is Australia and Canada. 185 destinations. As a result of the strengthening of international diplomatic ties, the UAE, on the contrary, has risen from 65th place to 15th place, like China, which has been making progress since 2011, and climbed 22 points to 68th place on the list. Passports of Thailand and Saudi Arabia ranked 66th, top 10 most convenient passports in 2021 for visa-free access to other countries. 1. Japan. 193 destinations. 2. Singapore. 192. 3. Germany, South Korea. 191. 4. Finland, Italy, Luxembourg, Spain. 195. Austria, Denmark. 189. 6. France, Ireland, Netherlands, Portugal, Sweden. 188. 7. Belgium, New Zealand, Switzerland, UK, United States. 187.8. Czech Republic, Greece, Malta, Norway. 186.9. Australia, Canada. 185. The Henley and Partners Index predicts that the spread of passport access will mirror the coronavirus situation in countries. Advanced countries such as the US, UK, UAE and EU members, which have better vaccination opportunities, will accelerate their capacities, while poorer and developing countries are slowly vaccinating, thereby pushing back the opening of borders to foreign tourists. This trend will continue in the near future and will inevitably have a devastating impact on tourism, said experts from Syracuse, the University of Pittsburgh and the Center for Migration Policy. Countries that will be able to immunize the local population will soon be able to receive foreign tourists and develop the industry, as Egypt, the Maldives and Thailand are doing now. These governments in countries experiencing severe vaccine shortages today may be left out of the tourism business in the future, and as a result, an even deeper chasm between rich and poor countries is inevitable. In a world where teleworking and digital lifestyles are becoming dominant, countries that are lagging behind in terms of vaccination will have a hard time and tourism losses are unlikely to be avoided. Finland has adhered to the most stringent border policy in the EU so far, which previously declared an emergency regime that allows the government to close organizations and restrict movement and impose a ban on all entries from abroad. But she also came to the conclusion that some measures are needed to weaken the restrictions. Some of them will be filmed within a few months. This was stated by the Minister of Internal Affairs Maria Ahisalo. Finland will be fully open to tourism only when the epidemiological situation improves, Ahisalo said, urging compatriots not to leave the country for summer holidays. The northern European country may begin lifting restrictions as early as next week, but ministers have decided that the borders will remain closed to foreign tourists for at least a few more months. The decision to end the state of emergency could be made next week if the situation continues to improve, Prime Minister Sanna Marin explained at a press conference. According to the WHO, Finland has one of the lowest infection rates in Europe. The incidence curve has gone down sharply over the past month. The infection rate is 83 cases per 100,000 people. After negotiations with representatives of parties in the public, the Prime Minister's office presented a roadmap, a plan for opening the country until August, according to which bans on sports and hobbies will be lifted from April. Museums and libraries will start working in May, and groups of over 10 will be allowed to gather in July. People outdoors, and in August, indoors. Unlike the rest of the EU, which plans to start working with digital vaccination passports in June, Finland expects to use them much earlier, said Marin. Fraudsters can connect to your phone via a USB charging station in a public place, especially in airports where charging has become quite common. As a result of such an intrusion into a smartphone, fraudsters can drain all passwords and data. Researchers at Travel and Leisure warned tourists about this. The introduction of such publicly available charging stations in airports and restaurants has led to a new type of electronic fraud, which has already become known as juice jacking. During this process, hackers leak information from the tourist's phone while he is using a public USB charger. The Los Angeles Attorney's Office of the Fraud Alert states criminals download malware onto charging stations or cables, which they leave connected to the stations, so that they can infect unsuspecting users' phones and other electronic devices. Malware could block the device or export data and passwords directly to a fraudster. Tourists are advised to return to the practice of individual charging and use an outlet with a suitable plug, or, alternatively, buy a portable charger. By the way, experts also do not recommend using public chargers, which hotels often have at the reception. True, hackers have nothing to do with it. The tourist usually has no information where this charge came from, whether it is of good quality, and whether it is a fake in front of him. At the very least, interference with chargers can ruin the batteries in the phone or the charging port. There is also a more significant risk. Burned charges overheated and deranged short circuits, fraught with fire. And some even exploded.